Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens Part 261 based on novel. So let's start. A faint fog enveloped around this mysterious space, causing the entire area to appear misty. This space was completely quiet. That manner was as though it had been quiet for eons. A piece of land floated in this seemingly vast and boundaryless space. The land was suspended in the air without any support. It appeared just like a pavilion in the air. The loneliness that had lasted for a long time had finally been broken today. The misty space had suddenly become distorted. Immediately, a huge spatial tunnel appeared. Soon after, many figures suddenly rushed out from within. Finally, they landed on that plot of land. Is this the ancient god mansion? Xiao Yan's body had just landed on the ground when his eyes hurriedly swept around him. However, he was stunned to discover that even with the great strength of his D-state soul, he was actually unable to probe beyond a 10,000 feet radius. Clearly, this place imposed quite a great pressure towards spiritual strength. Zana, Kailin, and the rest had also swiftly appeared beside Xiao Yan. Their eyes revealed a cautious expression as they watched this mysterious space. With the many human figures appearing, the experts from both parties also hurriedly separated. After which, they stared at the other side with cautious eyes as they readied themselves for various sneak attacks. Do not be delayed by them. Let's go. The Nihility devouring flame glanced at Xiao Yan's group. After which, his eyes turned towards this realm. There was some strange fluctuation appearing within his eyes. After which, he spoke in a soft voice. He subsequently took the lead to hurry into the distance. Hun Qiandi and the experts from the Hun clan quickly followed. The Nihility devouring flame is actually aware of the way. Xiao Yan was startled after he saw this scene. Even he could sense some pressure after arriving in this place. It was impossible for him to probe and locate the D-tier embryonic pill within such a short time. Unexpectedly, this Nihility devouring flame seemed to be extremely familiar with the way. The Nihility devouring flame, huh? Shu Kun was surprised. He immediately nodded while being in a deep thought. It is not surprising for him to know the way. Follow them. Shu Kun did not give any explanation after his voice sounded. He directly took the lead to give chase. Xiao Yan and the others hesitated for a moment before quickly following him. The two groups charged forward with full force on this seemingly vast and endless land. They were just like falling stars that swiftly cut through the sky. This fast charging continued for over a dozen minutes. Finally, the speed of the Nihility devouring flame and the others in front were gradually reduced. Xiao Yan, Xiao Yan, and the others swiftly gave chase after their speed was reduced. After which, they looked at the ancient stone hall, which appeared on that spacious plains. A fiery heat flashed within their eyes. The stone hall stood quietly on the vast and endless plains. An ancient aura spread from it and reverberated across the space. In front of the stone hall was an incomparably huge square. There were many 10,000 feet large towering pillars standing on both sides of the square. A towering like majestic aura pounced over from that place. Xiao Yan's group carefully landed on the square. Some rubbing sound quietly sounded on the stone ground as their footsteps landed. There was some distance between both parties. After which, they occupied both sides of the hall. They opened their strides and cautiously walked towards the square. This square was extremely spacious. Everyone felt as though they were ants crawling in the desert as they walked on it. It was difficult for them to see its boundary. However, everyone present could already be considered the strongest people on the Dochi continent. All of them possessed some mental toughness. Hence no one created an uproar. Everyone's hearts were filled with some respect and fear in this divine-like place. Xiao Yan's footsteps suddenly paused as he walked. He turned his head and looked at the top of a stone pillar a short distance in front. There was a cluster of deep yellow-colored flame rising from it. This kind of flame allowed Xiao Yan to see from a glance that it was a kind of heavenly flame. If he guessed correctly, this should be the mysterious yellow flame that was ranked 23rd on the heavenly flame ranking. Why is this heavenly flame so weak? However, Xiao Yan soon began to frown. This was indeed the mysterious yellow flame. However, it appeared extremely weak and tiny. Its appearance was as though the strength that was originally within the heavenly flame had been completely lost. A flame suddenly gathered on Xiao Yan's shoulder as he felt some doubts. After which, little Yi appeared in a flash. It looked at this quiet square and a somewhat lost expression suddenly surged within its eyes. This place is very familiar. Xiao Yan's footsteps suddenly paused after he heard little Yi's low voice. He turned his head and looked at little Yi in shock. Familiar? This was the ancient god mansion. Who could be familiar with this place? What happened? Light flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes. A thought appeared in his heart and it was transmitted to little Yi's heart. I don't know. I simply feel that this place is a little familiar. It seems that I have been here in the past. Little Yi replied while feeling lost. Xiao Yan's expression changed rapidly. Been here in the past? How could it be possible? The ancient god mansion was opened for the first time. Before this, he had never heard of the ancient god mansion being opened before. Hence, Xiao Yan's first thought was that it was ridiculous when he heard little Yi mention that it seemed to have been to this place before. Soon after, however, he thought that little Yi, who was mentally connected to him, would definitely not lie. In this way, it seemed that there is a very high possibility that what little Yi had said was true. However, Xiao Yan did not understand why little Yi would feel that this place was familiar. Xiao Yan frowned tightly. His footsteps caught up with the others. At this moment, everyone had also discovered the heavenly flames on the stone pillars. However, the heavenly flames was ranked too far behind. Hence, they did not pay much attention to it. However, they had walked for another 1,000 feet when another towering stone pillar appeared. There was also a cluster of flame rising on the stone pillar. 10,000 Beast Spirit Flame, ranked 22nd on the Heavenly Flame ranking. Xiao Yan slowly exhaled as he looked at the cluster of rising red flame, which vaguely revealed the appearance of tens of thousands of beasts. His eyes flashed. After which, he looked forward. His footsteps sped up greatly. Seeing this, Ji Yuan and the others hurriedly followed. They once again advanced by 1,000 feet. Another stone pillar appeared. There was also a different heavenly flame rising from it. However, these heavenly flames did not possess an overly great strength. At a glance, it appeared just like a decoration. However, Xiao Yan, who was well versed in heavenly flames, understood that these heavenly flames were not fake. They were all genuine heavenly flames. These heavenly flamed, Ji Yuan's group looked at this scene. Their eyes revealed a shocked expression. It seems that the heavenly flame ranking is higher the further in front it is located, Xiao Yan softly muttered. He turned his head and looked at little Yi, which was sitting on his shoulder. After which, his eyes turned to the Nihility devouring flame a short distance away. The latter's emotion also seemed to have a big ripple. However, there seemed to be a lost expression similar to that of little Yi in them. Faster! Xiao Yan urged. After which, he quickened his footsteps. The group hurriedly followed. With their increase in speed, many towering stone pillars appeared one after another. The heavenly flames ranked on the heavenly flame rankings rose these stone pillars. Amongst these heavenly flames, Xiao Yan could see an extremely familiar green lotus core flame, fallen heart flame, sea heart flame, bone-chilling flame, etc. It is unexpected that the Tushi ancient god actually loves to collect heavenly flames. After seeing the 6th ranked flame on the heavenly flame ranking, the 8th wasteland destruction flame, even Ji Yuan could not resist exclaiming. I wonder if the legendary top 3 ranked heavenly flames on the heavenly flame ranking are here. Yang Jin nodded. He suddenly looked at little Yi on Xiao Yan's shoulder and the Nihility devouring flame a short distance away. Although heavenly flames were rare in this world, there were more than one of each type. However, the top 3 ranked heavenly flames were different. Normally speaking, if there was a purifying demonic lotus flame or a Nihility devouring flame existing in this world, there would not be a second flame of the same type appearing. Yet, the purifying demonic lotus flame and the nihility devouring flame were both currently present. One was in Xiao Yan's hands while the other had turned into a human shape to aid the Han clan. Could that Tushi ancient god have created a second purifying demonic lotus flame and nihility devouring flame? Go? Yang Jin was clearly not the only person who had such thoughts. Even those from the Han clan and swiftly increased their speed after exchanging glances. The two groups quickly hurried over the spacious square. A moment later, all the figures came to a sudden halt. At this moment, they had gradually approached the end of the square. Another two towering stone pillars appeared in everyone's sight after they passed by the fourth-ranked gold emperor incinerating heavenly flame. Everyone immediately threw their eyes towards the top of the stone pillars the moment they saw the two giant-looking pillars. This time around, however, they did not see any heavenly flame rising from them. The top of the stone pillars were empty. The expected purifying demonic lotus flame and nihility devouring flame were absent from them. In other words, it seemed that these two types of heavenly flames were not included in the Tushi ancient gods collection. Everyone sighed softly after seeing this. They appeared to feel a slight regret. These are the last two stone pillars. It seems that even the Tushi ancient god is unable to obtain the legendary first-ranked heavenly flame. Xiao Yan also spoke somewhat regretfully after seeing the end of the square after the two stone pillars. Xiao Yan did not interrupt. His eyes were merely startled as he stared at the two empty stone pillars. His hand slowly touched Little Yi on his shoulder. Suddenly, he recalled the familiar feeling that Little Yi had mentioned earlier and how the nihility devouring flame knew the way here. Xiao Yan touched the purifying demonic lotus flame. After which, he glanced at the nihility devouring flame, only to discover that the latter was looking at the last pillar with a lost expression. The feelings he showed. Seeing the somewhat strange expression of the nihility devouring flame, a thought that caused one's head to become numb slowly rose from within Xiao Yan's heart. It is not that the Tushi ancient god had not collected the purifying demonic lotus flame and the nihility devouring flame, instead, the both of them had fled from this place. This thought had just rose from his head when it swiftly spread to every part of Xiao Yan's body and he could no longer escape from it. Xiao Yan inhaled a deep breath of air. He suppressed the great shock within his heart. If he guessed correctly, this Tushi ancient god was really terrifying. Other than the first-ranked heavenly flame on the heavenly flame ranking, all the other. These heavenly flames might possess their original heavenly flame essence, but it appears as though all of its energy had disappeared. Currently, they are merely ordinary flames with their original forms. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over those towering stone pillars behind him and involuntarily felt somewhat regretful. If it was possible to devour and refine them, it was likely that his strength would reach a relatively terrifying extent. Swallowing 20 types of heavenly flames together. It was likely that hardly anyone past or present had been able to do it. Little Yi sat on Xiao Yan's shoulder. Its small face was a little complicated. It looked at the second stone pillar and the expression on its small face was a little complicated. The expression seemed to be lost, painful, terrifying. Xiao Yan's hand gently patted on Little Yi's head. He could already be certain that Little Yi and the nihility devouring flame were restrained on this stone pillar. In the end, however, the two of them had somehow escaped. Perhaps something unexpected had occurred, resulting in their memories become blurry or missing. Of course, this was only Xiao Yan's guess. It was likely that no one in the world was aware of what exactly happened. After all, the parties involved, namely the purifying demonic lotus flame and the nihility devouring flame, had already felt their distant memories becoming blurry. Where is the DT embryonic pill? Han Qindi withdrew his eyes from the stone pillar. He looked at the nihility devouring flame at the side and softly said. The nihility devouring flame turned his head. His eyes looked at the edge of the square. The stone hall at that spot was enveloped within a dense fog. It caused one to be unable to see through the scene inside. The nihility devouring flame widened his mouth. A suction force surged. It directly swallowed the fog permeating over the place into his body. With the scattering of the fog, a huge shadow suddenly enveloped the entire place. Everyone hurriedly lifted his head, only to be shocked as he saw 100,000 feet tall stone statue suddenly appeared in their eyes. The stone statue appeared to be like an old man. That appearance was not unfamiliar to Xiao Yan. It was the owner of the ancient god mansion, the legendary Tushi ancient god. The stone statue stood in the sky and an extremely powerful aura that seemed to dominate the world scattered from it. Even Xiao Yan's group seemed to be pressed by a mountain under the aura. A couple of weaker individuals even knelt on the ground, shattering the hard stone ground into dust. Many light clusters danced around the stone statue. It appeared extremely brilliant when seen from afar. These are Qi method and Do skills? Xiao Yan narrowed his eye as he looked at these clusters of light. His heart was quickly shaken. This was because he discovered that those light cluster actually contained some ancient scrolls inside it. He could sense an extremely strong spirituality from those scrolls. This kind of spirituality was not inferior to the so-called Qian class high-level Qi method or Do skills. Hundreds of Qian class Qi method and Do skills. Even though everyone present were extraordinary, such a collection still caused their breath to involuntarily become heavier. Qian class Qi method and Qian class Do skill could be considered quite rare even in the Jiyu and Han clan. In this place, however, they have become commonplace as they filled one's sight. Although the Qian class Do skill and Qi method were extremely attractive, it did not result in much desire from experts like Jiyu Yuan and Han Qiandi. Hence, their eyes swept over them before turning towards another spot. However, it was still impossible to see the so-called D-tier embryonic pill. It has been a long time since this place had been so lively. A faint elderly voice suddenly descended from the sky while everyone were frowning. It resounded beside everyone's ears. This sudden elderly voice caused everyone to be shocked. They hurriedly rotated their bodies and finally stilled their eyes on the arm of a stone statue. There was an elderly figure standing with his hands behind him on that spot. His eyes were indifferent as they looked at everyone. The expression in their eyes appeared as though they were observing an ant. Tushi ancient god. The eyes of Xiao Yan's group swept towards the old man in simple clothes before they let out a startled exclamation. The appearance of the latter was exactly the same as that stone statue. Moreover, the unique bright long hair was something that no one could replicate. The ancient god is still alive? An incomparably shocking thought surged into everyone's heart as they dumbly looked at the old man with an aura that seemed to surpass that of this world. What happened? Han Qiandi's expression was a little ugly. He looked at the Nihility devouring flame and spoke in a deep voice. He did indeed sense a terrifying aura from this old man. This kind of aura belonged to the Tushi ancient god. The Nihility devouring flame lifted its head. His eyes stared intently at the old man. A moment later, he suddenly opened his mouth and said, "He is not the Tushi ancient god, he is the D-tier embryonic pill." Han Qiandi, Jiyu Yuan, and the others were startled after hearing these words. Immediately, their eyes revealed a strange glint as they slowly locked onto the old man. "Nihility devouring flame, what are you doing?" The old man on the stone statue was startled as he furiously cried out. "What do you mean by what am I doing?" The Nihility devouring flame frowned and asked after hearing his furious cry. "Bastard, if I had not helped you and the purifying demonic lotus flame to sever your restraints back then, how would the both of you escape? Back then, the both of you had promised me to rescue me from this place." That old man, or rather the D-tier embryonic pill, cried out in a stern voice. The bodies of everyone present trembled abruptly after they heard his cry. His eyes were surprised as they looked at the Nihility devouring flame and the purifying demonic lotus flame on Xiao Yan's shoulder. They had actually been trapped in this place in the past? The Nihility devouring flame had a change in expression. He thought for a long while, but he was still unable to find such a scene from his memories. All he could do was to speak in a faint voice, "I'm sorry, I completely do not remember about the matter you have said." However, his words paused after he spoke until this point. "However, I am indeed here to rescue you this time around. Come with me." The expression of the D-tier pill was a little dark and stern. He stared at the nihility devouring flame for a long while before turning towards the purifying demonic lotus flame on Xiao Yan's shoulder and asked, "Purifying demonic lotus flame, do you still remember our agreement back then?" Huh? Little Yi was startled. It quickly grabbed Xiao Yan's shoulder, shook its head and said, "I have never met you." The D-tier medicinal pill's expression became extremely gloomy after hearing this. A moment later, it seemed to have thought of something. He looked at the stone statue beside him, clenched his teeth and muttered, "This is done by you, right? Follow us." The nihility devouring flame looked at the D-tier medicinal pill and laughed. "Humph, it is likely that you are after my actual form, right?" The D-tier medicinal pill smiled coldly, looked at the nihility devouring flame and said. The nihility devouring flame smiled. After which, his expression became stern as he said, "Attack." Bang! Han Qiandi suddenly shot forward explosively after his words had just sounded. Monstrous do qi spread. Finally, it turned into a tide as it ruthlessly smashed towards the D-tier embryonic pill. An insignificant trick. The D-tier embryonic pill laughed coldly after seeing this. His finger gently pointed forward. That monstrous energy tide that pounced towards him was actually cut apart. It is extremely difficult to deal with this D-tier embryonic pill. We should capture it first. Otherwise, Han Qiandi might end up obtaining it. Xu Kuan remarked in a deep voice after seeing Han Qiandi attacked. All of you should be on your guard against the other members of the Han clan. Gu Yuan nodded. After which, he gave the instruction to Xiao Yan's group. The both of them flew out. Immediately, the energy in this place became wild and violent. Waves after waves of attacks, which caused the sky and earth to collapse, continuously attacked the D-tier embryonic pill. Faced with the attacks from Han Qiandi, the nihility devouring flame, Xu Kuan, and Gu Yuan, that D-tier embryonic pill did not show any signs of panic. A frightening ripple spread as he lifted his hand. It blocked the attacks from those four. While he might appear unhurt, he was unable to move due to him being held back. Xiao Yan's group involuntarily inhaled a breath of cool air as they saw that the D-tier embryonic medicinal pill did not end up in a disadvantage even when facing the four strongest experts on the present continent. Just one D-tier embryonic pill was already this terrifying. Just how terrifying would the true D-tier medicinal pill be? It was likely that even an elite Do-D would find it somewhat troublesome when faced with a medicinal pill of this tier. The many experts from the Han clan were ready to cause trouble when the intense big battle broke out in the sky. A cold glint flashed in Xiao Yang's eyes. He waved his hand. Yang Jin and the others rushed forward and blocked all the experts from the Han clan. The experts from the Han clan had a slight change in expression after they saw the Han clan stopping them. However, they did not attack. Clearly, they wished to wait for the big battle in the sky to come to an end. This was because all of them understood that the battle there was the most important one. Whoever managed to obtain the D-tier embryonic pill would immediately be able to turn the battle around. Hence, they were aware that there was little effect regardless of what kind of intense battle they fought. Bang bang. 5 figures accompanied with a strength that could destroy the world, crazily smashed against each other in front of everyone's eyes. The energy fluctuation from them caused even the hearts of those located far away to be frightened. Fortunately, this realm was extremely stable. Hence, this big battle did not lead to a rip in space. Xiao Yan lifted his head. He looked at the wild and violent energy fluctuation in the sky, which caused one to feel a chill. His fist was slowly clenched tightly. The present situation was really a little complicated. The strength displayed by the D-tier embryonic pill was far too frightening. Hence, they currently not only needed to take precaution against the Han clan snatching the D-tier pill, but they also needed to guard against any injury or deaths inflicted by the D-tier embryonic pill on Gu Yuan and Xu Kuan. These two results were definitely fatal to the Alliance army. Hence, there was really far too many variables in this chaotic battle. Bang bang. A terrifying extermination-like ripple surged across the entire place from the sky. Its aura appeared as though it intended to destroy the world. Xiao Yan had a solemn expression as he stared at the chaotic battleground. A flicker was present in his eyes. Everyone present had underestimated the strength of the D-tier embryonic pill. Originally Zhu Kuan thought that with both Ji Yuan and him cooperating, they should be able to subdue it within a short period of time. After exchanging blows, however, he finally discovered that he was too optimistic. Additionally, with Huntindy and the Nihility devouring flame entering the body, both parties ended up interrupting each other during the critical junctures. In this way, it had allowed the situation to become even more chaotic. Fortunately, this kind of chaos worked both ways. Zhu Kuan and Ji Yuan might be unable to successfully subdue the D-tier embryonic pill, but Hun Qiandi and the Nihility devouring flame did not have the opportunity to do so either. The Nihility devouring flame, whose strength was the weakest amongst the four of them, had even been attacked by both Zhu Kuan and Ji Yuan for a couple of times. If it was not because of Hun Qiandi aiding him, it was likely that he would have already been injured. Fighting in this manner is not the solution, Yang Jin frowned and commented softly as he looked at the chaotic battleground in the sky. Xiao Yan laughed bitterly upon hearing this. They were no longer able to intervene in the battle at that place. If they were to forcefully enter, they would only end up being injured by the extermination force. Hence, they could only simply stand here and stare. Yang Jin shook his head helplessly after seeing the bitter smile on Xiao Yan's face. He also understood that they were unable to do anything now. The D-tier embryonic pill had an icy expression in front of everyone's eyes. He flipped his hand. There was a vague rich pill fragrance surging in the air. "Do not inhale the pill fragrance!" Xiao Yan hurriedly cried out. He was suddenly startled after sniffing this mysterious pill fragrance. Under the scent of the pill fragrance, it seemed that even his doqi was about to ignite. Everyone hurriedly halted their breath after hearing Xiao Yan's cry. Fortunately, this pill fragrance did not target them. Hence, the doqi within their bodies became violent for a moment before it gradually calmed down. D-pill palm. The D-tier medicinal pill in the sky suddenly opened both of his eyes. His body suddenly rose into the air. Finally, his palm was pressed onto the four people below. The moment it did so, a human head-sized brilliant light cluster suddenly appeared. Bang bang bang. The energy of this place seemed to have met with a hot boiling oil as it was suddenly ignited. At a glance, the seemingly endless sky was covered with a fierce flame. The entire place had become like a furnace at this moment. Even Ji Yuan's group had a drastic change in expression after seeing the might of this palm from the D-tier embryonic pill. The doqi within his body was hurriedly maneuvered. The D-tier medicinal pill had an even denser icy expression. Both of his hands were suddenly pressed downwards. Immediately, the flame in the sky swiftly whistled downwards at a shocking speed. Within a short instant, the endless flame spreading across the sky had actually entered into brilliant light cluster in the D-tier embryonic pill's hands. Extinguish. Both of his hands were pressed downwards and the entire place became dark. Only the light cluster in the palm of the D-tier medicinal pill was emitting an extermination-like light. The light cluster shook. Finally, it came whistling downwards. Within a short moment, it had already arrived just above the heads of Ji Yuan's for men group. Raw? Even Ji Yuan's group could sense an extremely rich danger in the face of such a terrifying attack. Vast and mighty endless doqi surged out in unison and swiftly formed an extremely powerful defense. Bang bang. The light cluster heavily smashed onto the doqi defense above the four individuals. A earth-shaking loud sound appeared as an extermination ripple overflowed. For miserable figures fell from the sky and violently landed on the plains. They smashed onto the ground and formed deep crack lines that was 100,000 feet in size. Everyone's expression changed drastically after seeing this scene. No one expected that this D-tier embryonic pill would actually be able to fight against four experts who had reached the 9-star Doshan class. Although these four people were divided into two parties which were scheming against each other, they were after all the peak-level experts in this world. It was unexpected that they were still beaten into such a state by the D-tier medicinal pill despite them joining hands. The D-tier embryonic pill floated in the sky. His eyes were icy cold as he stared at the few 100,000 feet gullies on the plain below. The four figures rose into the air in a somewhat miserable manner. They divided into two groups and looked at each other from a distance. All of you are still lacking if you wish to refine me. The D-tier embryonic pill glanced at those four and spoke in a faint voice. Isn't it too early for you to be happy? The D-tier embryonic pill's words had only just sounded when the Nihility devouring flame suddenly laughed coldly. After which, he turned his head to look at Han Qiandi before speaking in a deep voice, "Hand me the Tushi ancient god jade." Han Qiandi was startled upon hearing this. He hesitated for a moment before decisively taking out the Tushi ancient god jade and handing it to the Nihility devouring flame. The Nihility devouring flame gave the D-tier medicinal pill a dense smile as he grabbed the Tushi ancient god jade. He spat out a mouthful of black blood containing some black flame and shot it onto the ancient jade. Both of his hands also began to suddenly form many strange seals. Xiao Yan was startled after seeing the sudden action of the Nihility devouring flame. He stared at the latter's hand seals and felt that they were somewhat familiar. After musing for an instant, he suddenly lifted his head and looked at the 100,000 feet large ancient god stone statue. The seal that the stone statue hands had formed was exactly the same as that of the Nihility devouring flame. The Tushi ancient god jade in front of the Nihility devouring flame began to hum and tremble as the latter's hand seals were rapidly formed. Soon after, a cluster of gentle light spread. The ancient jade shook and turned into a brilliant light cluster. The light cluster had many colors. There seemed to be a flame dancing within it, giving it an extremely mysterious appearance. Transforming pill ring. How is it possible that you know how to use the Tushi ancient god's transforming pill divine skill? The originally icy cold face of the D-tier medicinal pill suddenly changed after seeing the light ring being formed. Even his voice had become a little sharp. The Nihility devouring flame laughed coldly. However, he did not explain. His hand was swung and a brilliant light shot out. Within a short instant, it had appeared above the D-tier embryonic pill. Circular brilliant light surfaced and enveloped the body of the D-tier embryonic pill. With these flame-like clusters continuously wrapping around the body of the D-tier medicinal pill, traces of white smoke suddenly rose from within the latter. Miserable screech suddenly sounded. The Nihility devouring flame's eyes were a little startled. Clearly, he did not expect this transforming pill ring to be able to restrain the D-tier medicinal pill. The flames on the latter's body became a lot fiercer and the body of the D-tier embryonic pill slowly began to shrink. It actually showed traces of turning into a medicinal pill. Seeing this D-tier medicinal pill, who was originally acting mightily, suddenly became so miserable, everyone's expression quickly paled. Their bodies flashed and they directly rushed towards the Nihility devouring flame. From the looks of it, the reason that the Nihility devouring flame was able to use the transforming pill ring was most likely due to the Tushi ancient god jade. Humph! Han Qiandi, who was prepared, immediately let out a cold snort as he saw the two acted. His body moved and appeared in front of the two. With a flick of his finger, a couple of medicinal pills containing rich medicinal fragrance shot towards Gu Yuan duo before suddenly exploding apart. Bang bang. The air churned. Even Gu Yuan's and Zhu Kuan's body were forcefully dragged down. They coldly laughed, exploding Tier 9 treasure pill. How grand. The two of them appeared on both sides of Han Qiandi after their voices sounded. Sharp attacks were unleashed, encompassing Han Qiandi in the process. Boom boom. Han Qiandi immediately fell into a disadvantage in the face of Gu Yuan's and Zhu Kuan's combined attack. He appeared quite miserable as he advanced and retreated. However, he also understood the current situation. Hence, he clenched his teeth and unleashed his full strength in order to do his best to hold back Gu Yuan duo. Get lost. This pestering-like fight caused a ferocity to surge into Zhu Kuan's eyes. One could see him suddenly letting out a low roar. A couple of huge dragons, which seemed to have occupied hundreds of thousands of feet in the sky, suddenly appeared. The huge dragon turned into a purple gold light that smashed onto Han Qiandi, who had just forcefully received a blow from Han Qiandi with lightning-like speed. Bright purple gold light directly penetrated through the powerful defense on the surface of Han Qiandi's body. It ruthlessly smashed onto his physical body. Immediately, a mouthful of fresh blood was spat out from Han Qiandi's mouth. His body staggered as he flew backwards by tens of thousands of feet. Only then did he miserably stabilize his body. Shrink! The Nihility devouring flame let out a stern cry as Han Qiandi withdrew. The D-tier embryonic pill was collected inside the transforming pill ring without resistance. It turned into a brilliant light cluster the size of a human head and was suspended within the transforming pill ring. The Nihility devouring flame rejoiced upon seeing this scene. He beckoned with his hand and the transforming pill ring flew towards him with lightning-like speed. However, the transforming pill ring was about to land in his hand when a figure suddenly appeared in front of him and grabbed it. This sudden unexpected change caused the Nihility devouring flame to be startled. His eyes looked at the messy-haired Han Qiandi in front of him and his eyes flickered. Hand over the D-tier medicinal pill. Given your current condition, even with the help of the Nihility devouring flame, you are no match for us. Gu Yuan's expression was gloomy as he looked at Han Qiandi and said. Shu Kuan by the side also slowly clenched his fist. His face was ferocious as he stared at Han Qiandi. You want the D-tier embryonic pill? Han Qiandi wiped off the trace of blood from the corner of his mouth. He tilted his head to look at the brilliant light cluster in the pill-transforming ring. The cluster of light was like a silver river. The energy of the world seemed to be gathered inside. A strange smile suddenly surfaced on Han Qiandi's face as he stared at the brilliant cluster of light. After which, he suddenly widened his mouth in front of everyone's shocked eyes and swallowed that brilliant light cluster. He had actually directly swallowed the D-tier embryonic pill into his body. This method of swallowing was suicidal. This fellow is crazy. Xiao Yan muttered to himself. Although this was only a D-tier embryonic pill, the energy that it contained was extremely frightening. If one was careless, one's body and even one's soul would end up exploding from being too full. This action of Han Qiandi really seemed to be putting all his eggs in one basket. This video will end here.